Hi there. Thanks for coming back. Today we're going to talk about food. It's a big deal. If your pregnancy is anything like mine, you can only eat certain things and it's hard to cook for yourself, and maybe you have to drive down the road and see some and wait for the right smell to come to you in order to know what you're supposed to eat or what you can eat that day. So pregnancy is its own animal. Maybe you're watching these videos because you want to get pregnant and you know about this thing called postpartum depression and you want to avoid that as much as possible, or if you happen to get it, to nurture yourself through it. So you're really lucky if you're in that category where you're not pregnant yet, because you can start preparing for it without being in the swamp. But maybe your pregnancy is really easy, and you're cooking and you're cleaning and you're nesting, and your whole pregnancy is a nesting experience. I know some women who that's their experience, and I'm loving them. But that was not my experience. So here are some little tips that I have for wherever you are on the journey. Just try them if you can. So when you're making food as a pregnant woman or someone that's planning to get pregnant, make a little bit of extra food, and make a list, make a log of that food so that you know what it is. Maybe you have a deep freezer, maybe you just have a regular freezer. You might need to preserve them or can them or dry the food depending on the space that you have in your life. But prepare extra, because after you have your baby, you're gonna want faster snacks and faster, you're gonna wanna make your meals faster. Maybe just be able to grab it and throw it in a pot of warming water, or if you're a microwave person, just microwave, or the toaster oven is my best friend. So if you're making lasagna, make an extra lasagna. If you're making spaghetti, it's not all pasta. If you're making a delicious lamb curry, you want to make extra of that and freeze some, but make sure you write it down so you know that it's there and you don't forget about it. Label it in your freezer so you don't end up with just all of this frozen food and you don't know what it is. And if it's not super yummy, then don't freeze it, because you want to make sure the food that you're making for your future self is going to nourish your future self in a way that's just so delicious. Because after you have that baby, the more bliss-inducing experiences you can create for yourself, the better. Because while you have that baby and it's beautiful and you get hits of dopamine while you're staring into its beautiful eyes, there are a lot of other things behind that are creating sadness, and a lot of other things about the way the world works that can really affect the way that we feel, even though we have this beautiful child that's filling us with love. So if you can do this fundamental thing to keep yourself physically full of nutrition, before you get pregnant, you're doing yourself a solid. Along with this, there are these things called, I think online it's called a meal train. You get people to sign up for certain meals and bring them by. With this, it's really important to be very specific about what you want. I remember with my first daughter, we got 5 pizzas in one day. And I didn't eat a whole lot of gluten back then, so it was a lot of gluten to eat. But because I was postpartum and I didn't want to put so much time into making food when I was newly doing cloth diapers and I was newly, nursing her and sleeping when I could, and there just wasn't a whole lot of time or want to focus on things. So if you're a big fresh fruit person, you want to tell people to bring fresh fruit. If you're if you're an omnivore, and people know that, but you really like a lot of vegetables, make sure you tell people, sure, yeah, I would love some food, but mostly I like vegetables and maybe a little bit of meat. Or if you're a steak person, just share with them the specifics of what you want. Otherwise, you just might get an abundance of what's easy for people and what people think is easy for you. And pizza is a pretty easy, complete food right there. but I'd had enough of it. But I was really grateful, of course. But I'm like, I can't eat pizza one more time. It was a very visceral experience. So that's another thing to consider. So prepare yourself extra food when you make meals that you really like. Just make some extra of those foods. And when you do create a meal train using that list of people that you've been bringing with you on this journey, be specific with them about what it is that you like and be specific with how they can support you. It's going to be really important that they know, because they want the food that they make you to be eaten and to be enjoyed. So, yes, the next concept I'll bring up in a different video. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this helps, and keep in mind that concept about loving and nourishing your future self and giving your future self the most blissful experience that you can. And that will fold forward into the future. Thanks for tuning in.